it's Drybear. And the day has finally arrived. We are here with the First Descendant Season 3. It is out. You can play it right now, available on all platforms. So today, let's walk through the patch notes, show what's in the patch, what's new that you need to look for, and also after playing it most of the day today, kind of talk about what you should do right away when you first load in and some bumps and hiccups you might run into just to smooth out your overall experience. But before we begin, keep in mind that this patch is absolutely massive, so the video's a little bit longer than usual. Use the timestamps down below to navigate, and also keep in mind that new Season 3 Twitch drops are starting tomorrow morning. So you can hang out on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Drybear, pick up a new head, like a new hairstyle for Bunny, some nice new paints for your bike, as well as some more Twitch color paints as well. So make sure you head over and watch that live. Now, the first thing I would do upon loading into the game is to set up your target reward list. So just like how there are a mutant cell spoils box for the Sigma sector, there are actually several spoils boxes in Axion Plains. So what I would recommend is the first thing you do when you start heading into Axion Plains is make sure you set up all of your target rewards list, as you can have multiple now. They actually did a small rework to it, so you can actually have multiple of these, and these can all progress at the same time. As you can see, these bars are all going up independently of each other, which is really cool. So what I would do is I would go to like Nell down here, if you don't have her yet. Go to the blueprints as well, and then when you click on it, you'll notice that there is a blueprint box, there's an RK box, there's an Orca box, there is like the Racer box, whatever it's called, the Vortex box. All of these are spoils boxes, and they can be added to your target rewards list, so make sure you do that before you start running around Axion Plains doing missions, because you'll want to build these up, because this is where you're going to get the new bikes and Nell and all of that stuff. The next thing is they added a bunch new events to the game. I think 5 total new events. They still have the login bonus here, and I think you can still spend the tokens, though you can't earn them for the previous event, but there's a whole bunch of new ones, and you need to be like keeping these in the back of your mind as you're playing through the new patch. So for example, breakthrough with Nell, you have 27 days to finish this, but get Nell, get her to level 40, assigned a module socket type, and then to her like twice, and you'll get all these rewards. You don't want to miss out on these. These specifically, just getting 4 extra catalysts and a free activator for just doing the task is pretty good. Into Axion Plains has some great stuff in it as well. You can get 5 of these trigger module loot boxes as part of this. You have a long time to do these in general, but you want to kind of make sure you're looking at these and doing them each week, as these are weekly quests. Then you have the near one. Well, as long as you play a certain amount of time, you'll get a back attachments, which is pretty cool, and then you'll get a cool pod emote, all for free based on that. And then they also have the login bonus as well. So they're doing a Twisted Worship special edition version here. The big thing is, this is going to be for Serena instead of Inez this time, but the big thing is, like I think a lot of people noticed, is that the Twisted Worship special edition doesn't feel all that different, but it is a free skin, so you probably just want to kind of keep track of it and look at it. You'll notice there's also just extra makeups and headpieces and things like that, even something for Jayber so that we know that he still exists. In other fun news, the First Descendant with this patch, in just a matter of hours, a matter of like 6-7 hours since the patch launched, has jumped up 35 ranks in top sellers on Steam. So, if you're wondering, like, player count versus people spending money, people just love spending money in the First Descendant. It's been bouncing between 5th and 6th place for the last hour or so. So it went from, towards the bottom of the first page on top sellers, jumping up to the top 5, top 6, because people are buying the, in my opinion, overpriced Near bundle, the new Racer bundle, anything for Nell backs and things like that. Maybe even boosters are being bought in that case. So a lot of people are spending money. So regardless of how you feel on the patch, at least for the future of TFD, that is quite promising. Also on the concurrent player count, it is at a 5-month high. So it's kind of back to what it was when it jumped up in March. So you kind of have to wonder, like, if they're able to do patches like this one more frequently, where would the game be now? I would say that this number here is actually quite good for PC, and I'm also willing to bet that most of the players that play the First Descendant from a large cohort perspective are probably on console. So if we're getting to 21,000 on the first day of the patch, that's really good for them. It's not like, top 10 in the world, but it is very good for a free-to-play title on Steam, and I'm guessing that we're probably 40 to 60K on PlayStation and maybe 30 to 50K on Xbox, which means they're sitting at about 100 to 110,000 CCU combined, which overall is quite good for a free-to-play game, especially one that we know, as we just mentioned, is monetizing pretty well when they release new skin content, because the gooners be gooning. But with those PSAs out of the way, let's cover the patch notes in general and dive in. So the big ticket item here for the patch for Season 3 is going to be the zone Axion Plains, which appears like this little mustache at the bottom of the world map. So one thing to note about this is you do need to complete the story in Axion. You have to reach the mastery level requirement to unlock Axion Plains. You will find it inside of Albion if you just go to Seneca. Seneca over here will have the start quest for you. It takes probably an hour or two to do all of it. It has some pretty cool cutscenes and the usual level of storytelling that you'd expect from them, with some kind of just cool visuals and aesthetics. So talk to him, get that quest done, and then you'll get some cool cutscenes, some storylines that will take you to Axion Plains. The first thing to note as well is that Axion Plains is a hard-only zone. So if you were to, whatever reason, set to normal, you'll notice that Axion Plains, all it says is zone unavailable. It's not currently playable. It doesn't tell you that you're on the wrong difficulty. It doesn't have any warning. It doesn't even let you like click on it at all and say, hey, you need to be on hard for this. So if you just unlocked Axion Plains, this confused me at first too, just go down here and set your world difficulty to hard so that it switches over, and then you can enter into the zone and do that. Now, at the very start of your quest into the Axion Plains, that's when you're granted the baseline or like all-rounder bike. So you'll be able to get this. They just give it to you at the start of the quest. So if you're wondering where this is, just make sure you start the Axion Plains quest, talk to Valby, and you'll get this unlocked. It's just like the fellows in this. You'll select your vehicle. So go to your screen, go to manage vehicles. Your bike will be here. You will be able to, just like with the fellows and the Descendants, bring up this bottom menu and click between the other ones. But these two need to be farmed. And the big difference with these is, like I mentioned, the Glide 4 is all-rounder. The Vortex is built for acceleration and speed, and the Orca is built to be better for handling. So if you need to be moving around and dodging and like, these kind of like juts, the turning and all that stuff is going to be better there. So turning power, you can see, is lower on these, but you get some pretty nice numbers here. Turning power is very high on the Orca. So handling, speed, or all-rounder are your options here. So you'll probably want to farm those. But you'll be given the Glide 4 for free, and the Vortex and the Orca will be earned by their specific spoils boxes that come from Axion Plains. Now, the next thing to know about Axion Plains is there are tons of different missions. There's like 7 new mission types, all part of this. You'll notice that there are these fang-clawed ones with the mouth on them. This is where you get most of your drops for like farming stuff. You can see the blueprint and the trigger module spoils box comes from this mission specifically. You'll even have some pop-ups for drop zones, like actual loot crates that'll drop down on the ground. You'll also find ore, like mining ore samples that you'll need to collect as well. So as those pop up, you'll be able to do them. Periodically, there will be like field colossi that show up, like Dead Bride or Gravewalker or whatever. They'll appear on the field. You'll see an outline, a red outline of that specific colossi. Run over to it, clear it. You'll get rewards that way. There are also racing options here. All of these mobile energy monitoring points are racing ones. You just have to walk up to the front of it and get on your bike and then walk through the field to start the racing event. You will be like timed based on that. So if you go over to these racing events, you'll see like based on your clear time, you'll get more and more rewards. And I don't think any of these are possible to get the 45-second one until you get your bike upgraded, because realistically on these, all of these bikes can be upgraded and enhanced based on materials that you collect. You'll make their stats better, you'll get bonus enhancement level bonuses, and you'll be able to unlock the other ones as well. So by doing this, you increase max speed, you increase acceleration, you increase your boost value, and once you upgrade your bike enough, that's when you'll be able to go over and get the full, the fastest clear time on these to get these bonuses there. Next thing to talk about is the Wall Crasher queue, because you have all these different mission types, racing, bonuses, supply crates, fangs, mini fangs, colossi. Your big ticket item is going to be the Wall Crasher queue. And you pretty much want to be doing this every hour at the top of the hour, because you'll be getting the new component sets from it, plus some really good drops from him as well. So just make sure that you do that as well. So how do you queue up for Wall Crasher? It is super simple. They actually made it easier than the media version of the game that they gave us. So all you have to do is open your map on Axion Plains in the top right corner. If I move my big fat head, you will see this timer here that shows when the Wall Crasher will show up. So all you have to do is follow that, check the timer, and then if you want to queue up, they made it super simple. You just have to be in this giant Thunderdome in order to get queued. You get queued automatically. So you just come to the middle of the area, go inside this big dome. It has 4 entrances at like the cardinal directions, north, south, east, west. Drive in, and honestly, I think all you have to do is be inside the building. So like cross this threshold, and as long as you're inside the building, most people just go in here and wait. But if you're inside this area or in the loading area, when the timer hits 0, you will automatically be queued up for an instance battle with the Wall Crasher. They used to have like a pedestal like right over here that you could queue up for, but I guess they decided that it was a little too weird, or it just took too long to drive down here and grab it. So as long as you're in this area, just be present. when the timer over here hits 0, and you will be automatically placed into the matchmaking queue to do Wall Crasher. It is an 8-player encounter. So far, I haven't had a single full group yet, but it is the first opening hours of the patch. People are still doing the quest and farming stuff and whatever, but just make sure that every hour you're doing Wall Crasher. Just come down here, be in this area when the timer ends, and you're good to go. Very quick tips on Wall Crasher. Well, it's probably worth a separate video, but just make sure that when he does the big slam, you jump early on the shockwave. When you see these pillars appear on the outside, try to clear them out if you can, because a lot of players will get stuck and destroyed by them. These laser beams show up, they stay in one place and don't move. They're very easy to avoid. And then during his frenzy state, he will cause a meteor storm to fall down and explode, which looks like this. The frenzy meter will fill up, he'll start glowing purple, lightning all over his body, and then just summon a ton of meteors all over the place. When the meteors clash on the ground, a shockwave will come out. Just make sure you jump over it so you don't get hit by it. And also, they have their own collision on a projectile, so if you fly up into them as Serena, they will explode on your head as well. But that's pretty much it. It's just very straightforward. Jump over the AoEs and then do as much damage as you can with hopefully 7 other players. One important note to know about this is you can get most things in the game by doing Axion Plains, and I also want to highlight the rewards you get from this as well, so pay close attention to this. Most of the higher level missions inside of Axion Plains give you a little bit of everything. You can see that this Fanged mission, like their actual, like the highest mission that you can do outside of Wall Crasher here, gives gold, character XP, weapon XP, and arcade tuning XP. So all of the things you would get outside of Axion Plains, you can get here. It does drop a good amount of the caches as well, and you get materials for most things too. Like just by facing the enemies, doing the breach encounters, doing these drops and everything, you'll get pretty much everything in the game. You'll get like the ETA red vouchers, you get all kinds of stuff. So like the amount of loot that you get in Axion Plains is insane. You can pretty much just do Axion Plains for most of the stuff in the game that you would normally want. I still think it's worth doing your daily Sigma dailies just to get the arcade tuning, but you can get most things in Axion Plains, and to be honest, the difficulty level is high enough where doing it in groups or having other players there will benefit. Another cool aspect of Axion Plains is just defeating any monsters in the Axion Plains will drop you weapon and external component augmentation cores, so both external component and weapon cores drop in Axion Plains, even from the regular enemies that you're running around. You can also get core amplifiers, which is useful, and it's actually a good amount of them. You'll get like chunks of like 10 to 20 core amplifiers at once on repeat, which is really good. And you also get hover bike enhancement and modification materials. And you'll also get the new spoils boxes that give you Nell, the new weapon, hover bikes, stuff like that. Additionally, defeating commander enemies or special enemies will give you even more materials. The special monsters can drop the red vouchers for ETA every weekend. You'll also get component cores from them as well. And there's a small chance of obtaining crystallization catalyst blueprints along with the crafting materials for them from the special enemies. So when they pop up, make sure you clear them, because you could be farming catalysts and the materials needed to create them at the same time from killing them. The commander enemies in them will also drop rare basic materials needed to craft the new Descendant Nell, the new weapon, as well as the 2 farmable hover bikes as well. So blue and purple materials that you need for all the new crafting, as well as the new crystal that you need to craft as well from Anais. You'll be able to get those just by clearing out any of the special and commander types inside of Axion Plains, on top of the rewards you already get for the common enemies as well. So now let's talk about the Fanged missions. These are the ones you basically want to be doing as your primary target, because they contain the highest density of loot. We already talked about the rewards you get here with all the different XP values that you get from it as well. So doing these Fanged missions is important. They're officially called operational areas. So basically from Axion Fields or Axion Plains, 2 of the missions of the 7 on here will be designated as operational areas. Their icons will turn into this fanged mouth look, and then this is where you'll get all these major rewards, but they also drop multiples of the new spoils chests on top of everything else. So basically, if you were to go to like this and look at like the new, say you wanted to farm the Orca or something like that, in order to get these, you'll notice that these new like spoils boxes are required. And when you click on it, you'll notice that usually for these, the ones that show up are the ones that are only part of the operational area. So you see how these 2 are operational, these aren't operational. So you want to, if you're looking for these specific spoils boxes, they'll always be on the Fanged missions inside of that. So you want to make sure that you're kind of paying attention to that. So the general loop is just go to Axion Plains, make sure you're doing these Fanged missions on repeat. If Colossus show up, kill them. If random ore drops show up, collect it. If random spoils box land on the ground, like the drop loot comes down, pick those up as well, go back to the Fanged missions, run those, and then when Wall Crasher shows up, just make sure that you're running over into that and completing. And just since we're looking at it on screen, you can see that there is a dead bride floating around over here. And they do have timers, by the way, so they will run, when the timer runs out, they'll vanish. So just go over here and collect these and finish these off. So do these, do the Fanged missions, and do Wall Crasher when he's available. There's another thing I want to highlight about the Wall Crasher encounter is it is possible to invite people into an active encounter. So if you don't make it in time, or you did make it in time but you didn't fill up, you can actually invite people from your friends list into your party, and when they join the party, you should be able to get them into your Wall Crasher encounter. So if you don't fill up and you happen to have some people on your friends list that didn't make it into a Wall Crasher, you can have them dogpile in and get into that group to be able to take Wall Crasher down to get the reward, which is pretty cool. Now, just so it's clear what you get from the Wall Crasher, you're going to be getting a lot of trigger modules. He's one of the best, if not the best source for farming trigger modules. And remember, these are random stat modules when you get them. So you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of them, so you're always getting better options. It's very similar to Rivens in that way. 4 of each of the new component sets. So basically, every time you take down Wall Crasher, we've done it a few times now, you will get 4 of the dimension pieces, 4 of the circulation pieces, and then 4 of the, I guess these have all been trash, 4 of the new ricochet pieces as well. So those 3 new component sets all will come in every time you clear him. Over time, you're going to want to farm these until you get good stats, you know, like defense, and hopefully this would be MP recovery on this in general, but you got to clear him just for the new component sets. You also get cores, a lot of cores, high tier cores, tier 10 external component cores, tier 8 weapon cores, 50 core amplifiers, 200 to 300,000 gold, and about 5,000 Kuiper shards at the top end. There's also some like rotating aspects to this as well. So if you look here on the Axion Plains map, there's dimensional energy stabilization. All you have to do is do the operational area quests like the new fangs to clear those out, and then get those done. You'll get the rewards. They also mentioned that there will be some ranking for this that might actually still be working. I'm just not sure exactly where they're showing that information. Never mind, I lied. On this screen, if you're on the screen and you're on PC, press F as in fail like me, and you'll see the dimensional breach stabilization reading. So basically, when you do things in the Axion Plains, you will contribute to stabilizing the Axion Plains. Based on your contribution, you will get more and more rewards, right? So if you've done nothing, you get little bonuses, but if you can complete all of these, it's up to a 70,000 score. You get all of these bonuses, so you increase your Axiom reward gain by a percentage, you can reduce your global research time, and you can do unique RK factor XP increase on all of these as well. So some really nice bonuses. This resets every 4 weeks, so once a month. So you just want to make sure you get your contribution up high, and then you'll accelerate all of your progress and efforts in Axion Plains by participating in it. So don't sleep on this. The dimensional breach and the dimensional stabilization are both here. You have your operation here, which gives you regular, like once a day bonuses every time these fanged missions reset, which I think is every 10 hours. It'll reset. Get those one-time rewards, because it does give a spoils box for free. It gives materials on top of that. Then you also have your contribution. The more you do, the faster your grind gets based on your contribution there, so don't sleep on that. And of course, the star of the new patch is the new Descendant, Nell. She is farmable through the spoils boxes in Axion Plains, and we've already been over her quite a bit, and we'll probably do some updated build videos for her, going over what she can do and what she's good at in a separate video, but it is part of the patch, so I just wanted to toss it on here, remind you that she is available. Next, let's talk about the new trigger modules. A brand new slot will appear for your Descendants in-game. People are even buying the new skins. Look at that. So if you jump into game and you go into your Descendant module, you'll notice that in the top left-hand corner, there is a brand new trigger module slot. So this is a conditional module that's kind of in the same vein of the Transcendent modules, in that it's a single module that has a big impact on your character. Most of these are related to the types of abilities you're using, whether they're a projectile, a charge attack, or they have all these new categories, right? So when you look on the abilities now, you'll see in the top right corner, along the top bar of the skill, it'll show all the tags that go along with these abilities. So take note of what tags are there. So this is an explosive projectile, a piercing projectile, healing, continuous damage, and weaken, right? Her second ability is just toggle. Her third ability is normal AoE, ally enhancement, yada yada. So those are going to be your triggers for the new trigger module. As long as the type matches, you'll have modifications for it that the modules will do. Now, remember at the beginning of the video when I told you to mark all the new spoils boxes as your target rewards? Trigger module loot is part of that. So you will get like 4 to 20 trigger modules from Wall Crasher. That's why it's so important to do him on cooldown, as you can farm up all these trigger modules. We also get it from the trigger module box as well, which looks like this. This will come from the intercept battle there, as well as a whole bunch of rewards, and of course Wall Crasher as well. And that's where you're going to get these trigger modules. Now you'll notice that there are these different ones here on the module itself. It will have like the triggers that it applies to and what it actually does. They all have some pretty cool effects, and I'm not going to go through all of them in just this video, but just know that they are here, and you're going to be farming these quite often because they do provide different stats, different benefits depending on what it dropped like when you got it. And the reason you want to collect so many of them is this looking at the actual inventory for your items in general. And you can even when you go to the trigger module screen, either at the primal hands inside of Albion or you go to dismantle them, you can actually filter by your individual abilities, like which of your trigger modules will work for the abilities that you have on your character. So you'll notice I currently have nothing that works for Serena's flight, but I have some modifiers here that work on projectiles and stuff like that. And you'll also notice the reason why you want to collect a large number of trigger modules is because they roll their stat values when they drop. So you are trying to get multiple, and you can even see the rarity of the stat that's on them based by looking at this screen. So just like you would with like the roll that you get on a weapon core, or the roll that you get on like re-roll for a weapon in general, those numbers will vary. The same thing goes for the trigger modules. So you see I got actually a double gold here on this one here. Both these rolled pretty well. 907 out of 922, you know, 0.5 max, so max roll there, which is pretty cool. Awesome stuff. So you want to be kind of farming these consistently. Remember, you get over 20 of these that drop when you kill Wall Crasher, so you get a good amount of them for doing that, but you want to be kind of consuming these as much as you can. And then once you are ready and you know what character you want to use it on, you just have to go to the primal hands and click the implant button, which is this right here. You just come to the primal hands in the right side of Albion, come over, unlock RK trigger in order to have it unlocked. So hit this unlock button, it'll unlock and do its thing. You'll be able to get your cool little thing there. So you come to the primal hands, spend the money and the unlock in order to get this unlocked. You have to craft the refined Axiom crystal at Anase to be able to get this done. Once you have one, you unlock it, and then you actually get that ready to go per Descendant. Then once they're unlocked, all you gotta do is go to your inventory and equip these just to be able to get this on, right? So all you gotta do is select one of these, implant, and you're good to go. However, I will caution you, there is a trigger module inventory of 100. You can only have 100 of the, I don't know why. You can only have 100 of these modules, and this will fill up if you get excess modules when you have a full 100 inventory. I mean, you get like 8 to 22 of these dropping from a single Wall Crasher. So if you get lucky and you get a lot of drops, within 5 to 10 Wall Crashers, you'll have full inventory and it'll start going to your lost and found. So you'll need to go to the module guy and dismantle these regularly. I don't know why they made it so freaking small at 100, but once you hit max, you'll start getting lost and found. You will need to dismantle. Next up, we have the two new weapons. The new Eraser Scout Rifle is primarily used for defeating the elemental resistance of the new monsters in Axion Plains. That's where you're going to get this bit here. This one's going to be farmed from Axion Plains. And we also have the new Battle Pass weapon, the Exterminator. This one is actually excellent for Axion Plains because it has the modifiers and tags on it that allow it to shoot down ships, which it's separate from using the special weapons you get on the Axion Plains. It's nice to have one built that you can use to just blow down ships from out of the sky. So this one is very useful for just dealing with the sheer amount of monsters you get in Axiom Plains. This is the new Battle Pass weapon you'll get in the Battle Pass. We also have the 3 new external components, which we briefly mentioned earlier, but Circulation is a support style set, which gives you MP, as well as granting MP heal modifier, HP heal modifier, and skill cost as you support your allies, which is really cool. Dimension Destroyer is an awesome 4-set bonus that allows you to stack up by actually doing either casting skills or just waiting. The stacks will tick up on their own. When it hits to 10 stacks on the buff, it grants Crash, which causes the Pandemonium flotation on Wall Crasher to crash down on a random target location. So basically it gives you, as it builds up time, it gives you these big AoE meteors that drop down. Hopefully these are pretty good. I mean, 69% of skill power is quite good, a little bit better than the Supernova that we have, but it will periodically either once every 10 seconds, but more on average, probably 5 to 6 seconds, because every time you use a skill, you get an additional stack, which essentially cutting a second off the timer, and it makes you summon a meteor, which is pretty strong. Then, of course, you have the Ricochet build that's coming along with Nell as well, so Ballistic Tracker. This gives you weak point damage, but also means that every time you hit an enemy in a weak point, you get stacks. When you stack up, it will consume those stacks to do Ricochet damage in area around them. So by hitting weak points, it does AoE damage, but what's great is Nell can guarantee weak points and also plays with her weak point build anyways, which means that you can make single target weak point weapons all of a sudden do AoE damage when using this set, which is pretty cool. Next up, let's go over Descendant Changes. There's been some pretty big ones in here, starting with the main man, Jayber, the man that's been forgotten, got basically a giant wall of text of changes, and will probably warrant its own video separately, but let's go over the high level of what happened to Jayber. First off, the maximum turrets has been increased to 3, so now you can spawn 3 turrets, which is quite good. The turrets actually spawn instantly as well, which means that you can very easily just put them out, and you can mix and match them as well, so you have turrets kind of spawning there. They also explode now on their own when they expire, so if you have any enemies here. So as this turret expires, it explodes and does a good amount of damage without even needing to do anything else. It's just part of the baseline there. Additionally, the medical turrets, you can see the explosion there, the medical turrets will actually protect the assault turrets now. So if I put like a medical turret down and then assault turret, as long as the assault turret is in range of it, you'll see that green beam coming out. It will actually heal the assault turret if it's taking any damage, and will also reduce the amount of damage it takes as long as there's at least one medical turret kind of spawning here to kind of create that, to be able to have that bonus there. So be able to spread between the two. You can see they're each getting their own damage, and then when they expire, they deal damage as well. Additionally, when you do reactivate on a turret, you'll actually end up getting a movement speed increase, which is quite nice. So it helps them a little bit with this whole like, you know, I can't keep up with enemies or allies that are moving too fast. So when you reactivate and use that pretty often, you'll be able to get some cool things out of it. So you can see the turrets are faster, they do more damage, they explode on death, they can have damage reduction, which helps them keep alive, and there's more bonuses going along with his Z and V to be able to add more to that as well. Additionally, they just straight out buffed the assault turret. So the AoE damage of the turret zone and there's even the direct damage of assault turret went from 100% to 264%. So a very large increase for that as well, and about double damage for the continuous zone for the assault turret as well. Now, with this change, it means that 2 of the red mods got completely invalidated with this update, and I wish they had a better way to display this to the player, but if you'll notice, if we go to Jayber's modules here in the library, you'll notice that 2 of them, Immediate Purge Code and Turret Engineering, have a cost associated with them, and the other 2, Medical Compulsion and Attacking Compulsion, do not. And that's because both of these red mods have been deprecated and removed from the game. However, if you currently own them, like if you own these like I did before the patch, they get nullified. So you'll notice that they have 0 cost, they can't be equipped, and the description of the module is, this module is no longer available. However, you can go and dismantle these to get some money back for it if you want, and I recommend you do since they're deprecated anyways. So just go dismantle these, get rid of them, get your gold back or whatever, your Kyber back from them, and be done with it. And now Jayber is just like most of the other characters that only has 2 modules on release, right? So it's almost like he got re-released, but we have these options here as both of these have been removed. Up next is Viessa, a character that actually has been doing quite well in pretty much all content. People have been using Viessa for Void Erosion Purge normal clears, been using it for boss clears, even clears on Ice Maiden in general, but in a shocking turn of events, they decided that Viessa wasn't strong enough, so they actually gave her a pretty sizable buff with this patch. So first of all, Ice Sphere had its damage increased to 291%, and the explosion damage as well. Frost Shards went up by about 140% on the explosion and the initial hit of the projectile. Cold Snap damage went from 3,200 to 3,800, almost 3,900%. And then Blizzard had its cooldown reduced by 10 seconds. This is massive because even with maximum cooldown with the Bravery set and cooldown on your actual reactor, it still was pretty hard to keep Blizzards up for as much as other characters could. So having that flat decrease in Blizzard is very, very nice. MP cost going down, continuous damage going up, as well as explosion damage at the end going up as well. So basically her main damage sources all got increased, as well as an accessibility increase for the Blizzard, with the MP cost being lowered and the cooldown being lowered as well, which will be amplified. Additionally, Cold Cohesion got buffed up as well. The damage from it went from 222 to 246 on explosion and initial hit, as well as the Glacial Cloud module, which I hope they just make it so that Glacial Cloud is like baseline or something. I feel like Inez's deployment for her AoE field is just better than Viessa's, which requires a ground target. So they adjusted Glacial Cloud so that the cooldown goes down even further, plus additional damage on top of it, which is really nice. Additionally, Hypothermia got a buff as well, quite small, but still noticeable, about 30% on damage and explosion, more damage on the icy needles that come out as well, frost shards going up a sizable amount, cold snap damage going up, and then blizzard changes that they kind of been doing across the board for these based on whatever module you have equipped. So Hypothermia, as well as Glacial Cloud and a little bit of the cold as well. Additionally, AZ, or Absolute Zero, got a buff, which is shocking considering it was already probably her best mod in general. But damage and explosion damage from Ice Sphere going up while you have it equipped. Frost Shards, Cold Snap, and Blizzard Changes as well. But you notice that the damage scaling on the Blizzard here is not quite as high as the first one, but it does give you that bonus there. I'm guessing that Absolute Zero is still going to be her best module in general, but we'll have to see once we test her again. Some skill performances of Cold Snap Watch module just for the Cold Snap continuous damage. Honestly, they probably could have brought this up a little bit more considering how much continuous damage you get from other characters, but overall, some massive buffs for Viessa. Up next is Esiemo. Yes, our resident body odor expert is finally getting some buffs, which is pretty cool. So some big ones here. So we're seeing Time Bomb going up in expandable range, explosion damage. I would say that Esiemo's biggest problem is just amount of deployments, like just animation debt. He just has a lot of animations that make it difficult to play him effectively in general. But he has Time Bomb, expandable range, explosion damage going up significantly on Time Bomb, guided landmine range, and arcade explosion range, which means that he can hit more monsters. This helps in the bigger areas as well. Cluster Bomb module, the damage per bomb is up to 70%. The explosion damage is almost doubled. The range 50% up. Continuous damage up as well. Creative Explosion, Explosive Propaganda, as well as Explosive Evade module all got range increases in general. So in general, for the most part, across the board, Esiemo ends up getting range increases for his abilities, but also gets some damage increases for his as well. Some of those going up quite significantly, like the explosion damage from Cluster Bomb. So Esiemo in general does more damage, but all of his abilities have greater range, which means that that cost you pay for putting the animation is a little bit more worthwhile. Up next is Best Girl Sharen, finally getting a little, well, she did get a little bit of buff last patch, and she's getting another one here. It's not massive, but it's enough to make a difference. Now, we just did an overcharged edge build yesterday for Sharen, but there's other ones you can do like ambush and area suppression. This time around, area suppression is getting another buff after the last one, which is adjusted some skill performances of the area suppression module. Damage going up from 252 to 373%, plus additional damage range. However, my main issue with area suppression is not actually the range of the ability, it's the gaps in the ability that bother me the most. So devs, if you're listening, what matters to me most about this area suppression is not the range or the damage of the projectiles, it's the fact that if you get the wrong angle, you will completely miss, right? So like if I stand in the wrong spot here, you'll actually just miss targets because there's major gaps in between the projectiles. Like she didn't get hit, right? Some of those characters, like depending on where you're standing, there's going to be massive gaps, right? Now he doesn't get hit because there's a hole in it. And also the other problem is elevation as well, whereas characters like Bunny or Inez can have large spherical effects for their AoEs. Because Sharen is not in that category, you can miss if enemies are slightly above you or below you. So devs, if I could get my moment in the sun, it's not necessarily a range problem that exists for area suppression being comparable to some of the other skill descendants, or most notably the Inez benchmark that has been set by the devs, for she is the new point of balance for skill descendants. Jumping and missing my entire skill to me is not acceptable for a skill-based descendant. Like, this should not be possible. The fact that there's holes in the circle, and that the circle is completely flat, one-dimensional, two-dimensional, it doesn't have any elevation to it at all, makes this ability kind of pale in comparison to most of the other skill-based descendants because of that. So rather than changing range, I would love it if it had more of a spherical approach, or potentially even filled some of the gaps in between the projectiles so you can actually hit more targets without missing constantly. Up next is Bester Girl Valby, so getting some changes here. Again, there's some things that I would like to see changed, but her getting more buffs is, you know, I'm never going to say no to more buffs for the characters that aren't currently at the very top. The first change is to the water play module. I actually just put out a water play build like a month ago for Valby. Super fun, but the damage interval going down on water play is basically double damage output for water play, so a huge buff to that build that we already put out. And the cooldown went up, unfortunately, with water play You still can't spam it on cooldown like Inez can, so I don't know why they're increasing the cooldown, maybe just because the damage increases there, but honestly, I still feel like Waterplay Valby wouldn't be Inez, so if Inez is the benchmark, we need to be doing things that align with that benchmark, so I don't know why they're increasing cooldown at the same time that they're buffing Waterplay, but going up a little bit means that even with maximum cooldown, if you're not running the Bravery set, you will still have some downtime between putting it down, but still that buff is there. Next is the Hydro Pressure Bomb changes. So the damage went up significantly. They almost doubled the damage on Hydro Pressure Bomb. So 1,500 to 3,000% is quite insane. And the damage increase per entity hit when you land from Hydro Pressure Bomb is up another 10%, as well as the MP cost going down. Now, again, if I could rant, maybe if the devs are listening in general, one of the things that I think is wrong with Hydro Pressure Bomb is the delay, right? It's the time lost in doing it. So Hydro Pressure Bomb allows you to do this and you land. However, there's one big problem with Hydro Pressure Bomb, in my opinion, compared to some of the other skill-based stunts like Inez, is that not only do you have no way to force yourself to the ground, right? So normally if you're up in the air, you can go up and then you can slam by doing a melee. Being able to plunge saves you a lot of time. However, if you end up going up into the air and then doing this, there's just a long time before you get your damage out compared to the smash ability for Serena or just running around as Inez destroying everything on the screen. So like having this really long time before you deal damage is rough, but also there's another problem. So I'm going to hold down forward with Hydro Pressure Bomb. If I'm holding down forward, watch the root. You get rooted in place for like a second and a half every time you do it, which again makes it hard to compare to characters like Viessa, or sorry, even Viessa actually, but compared to characters like Inez, which are the point of balance, just having this delay and then having the root is kind of rough. But again, it's more damage, so they double the damage on it. It's kind of nice. So having the damage there and the damage per entity going up and the MP cost going down is great. I just hope they would make it so that you could plunge to the ground like Serena can and potentially remove or greatly reduce the root that you get every time you land Hydro Pressure Bomb. And with that change alone, plus this damage increase, I think Hydro Pressure Bomb would be, you know, one of her better modules all of a sudden. So really cool changes there. But again, kind of with like a lot of the other balance changes in the game, I feel like they could do more to think through the design of it and what's holding it back rather than playing with the numbers so much. And finally, Tidal Wave, which doesn't really get used too much these days, but the damage increase when passing is up to 1690, and then the explosion damage is up as well. So some big buffs for basically all the main mods for Valby that are skill-based outside of just, you know, supply moisture, which is kind of nice for her. Up next is Keelan, the man that just can't stop getting buffed over the last, like, 5 months. He just keeps getting buffed over and over and over. He's in a pretty decent spot now, but he's getting another buff with this update. His modules are getting upgraded: Void Corrosion as well as Mobile Strike. So for Void Corrosion, the acidic infusion level gained has been doubled, which is actually quite substantial. The damage went up again by about 200%, plus an additional 100% or so on the additional damage proc from Void Corrosion. And then for Mobile Strike, we're getting pierce damage essentially doubled, as well as the explosion damage going up another 600%. Like, I still am shocked that he's lasted this long, but more upgrades, more bonuses, more buffs for Keelan. That's pretty sweet. Then we have Focus on Prey. When you have this equipped, or when you have Focus on Prey, yeah, when your module is equipped, Acidic Infusion goes up with Void Corrosion, Septic Gust goes up in damage, and the Rot damage as well, plus Tremor as well. So basically, Void Corrosion, Mobile Strike, and Focus on Prey have all been buffed with this patch. A new season means a new Inversion Reinforcement tree as well. The spot here for the rocket launch, the Exterminator, is down here. It just gives you more max target detection, so this is your seasonal weapon getting its seasonal buff. So all these kind of have been rotated out. Some are similar to what they were before, and there's some new ones in here as well, but it's just your typical Inversion Reinforcement. Just do your Inversion Reinforcements, get your particles every single day, and you'll eventually max it out and be able to choose between these, which is quite nice. So some nice ones here. These are still elemental attack or whatever, and then your seasonal buff is down here, but just make sure that you're setting your Inversion Reinforcement. And additionally, on top of that, your presets are going to be lost as well. You'll have to work this up again for the new season and set those up. There's also a new Battle Pass, which is worth picking up. It's got some really cool skins in it. Like, it's got these kind of like, I guess, airman or like maintenance crew skin that you can get for all characters, which is pretty sweet. It's your usual setup here. It's got goggles on top and then this skin on top of it as well. It's also got some Vulgus themed skins. Like, this is the Excava, which looks really cool. There's also got a couple other ones, like this is Clairvoyance, if you can believe it. This thing is wicked looking, almost like Halo style. which is pretty cool. You got your Exterminator, some skins here for Wave of Light, which is really nice as well, a grappling hook and other things like that. So Battle Pass is there for the pickup. And for your supply shop, which just changed with the new season, has skins for Lepic, as well as some Enzo options on top of that, which is quite nice. And it also is the place you're going to find the normal Nell skin that she has from her normal cadet, like officer uniform from in Albion. So if you're looking for the normal hair and the normal outfit, it will be part of the Battle Pass supply shop. But that is not all. They'd also added in a challenge accumulation. So a lot of people complained over the last year or so of Battle Passes where you have to like go to these season weekly challenges and do some really arbitrary ones that feel kind of rough just to get the supply coins so you can buy out the supply shop. However, they added a new system, which is this one at the top of the screen. So by doing your dailies, you will get incremental jumps of Battle Pass XP from that, which is really cool. And you get the biggest one at the start. So all you have to do is go on, do your 6 dailies every day for your Battle Pass. And if you can get these done, you'll get bonus Battle Pass XP, which means that you can level up the Battle Pass faster if you're doing those alongside your weekly or seasonal challenges. Additionally, new season means new season of Abyss as well. So the Ice Maiden is gone now, and I'm guessing that when the ETA shop launches up in the morning, we're not going to have any of the Tormentor or the Ice Maiden skins in there. Then we have this new one here, the Storm Hanger. Is basically an upgraded version of Hanged Man. He has a 2 phase state. One is like normal mode and then like reflex mode. And he's got some cool electric attacks, but he is a electric character, which means he's weak to poison. So get your Keelans and your Frenas out, or just get elemental bonuses with Serena, like most people will probably do. Just get like a Smithereens or an Ancient Knight or something like that and just blast it with toxic power just to burn right through them. But a new option here as well. And it also means that we have a new challenge version as well. So the challenge version of this is now set up. So this is getting a one-time bonus. You just need to complete this once to get all the rewards here. A whole bunch of 10 cores, 600 of the green vouchers, and then a bunch of core amplifiers as well, just for completing it the first time. Also keep in mind that with the season reset, you got the reset of the leaderboards as well. So the leaderboards have been wiped out, but it's super cool because it means a lot of the builds you might see on there. You see a lot of people are trying out the new busted Viessa, but you can see kind of like what they're looking for and what they're after in that general to find out kind of what people are doing and just see how these are comparing. But you'll notice that a lot of these have lost their records just because, it's a brand new season, brand new reset. And of course, new season means new hard mode special operations. So if we go to hard mode here, this is moved over to, we have Axion Plains, which shows up, but we have Kuiper, Mine, and White Knight Gulch, and Fortress. This is actually probably one of the best weeks or best resets for special hard mode to do like weapon XP, since the Fortress special operation for Albion resource defense, like the defense waves in Fortress, especially on hard mode, is insanely high for weapon XP. So if you're trying to level in new weapons, consider jumping into this. Also a new NPC in Albion called Bibion. So if you head out from the entrance, the original entrance from Albion, and you come over here to the right, you'll find Bibion, and Bibion is going to be your #1 man or woman or robot for these events, which is kind of like what we have over here or had over here next to this. It's just been moved over to this little like deploy drones. Just make sure you check this for events that might be going on at the time. Additionally, there is their new boost thing, which is essentially like an express pass from Lost Ark if you've ever played Lost Ark before. But if you go to your inventory, you'll find boost up. This will also be a pop-up for you when you first loaded the game. Just note that this is currently having some issues, so like bugs wise. So what it'll do, just like express passes in Lost Ark, is it'll give you a full build for the character, weapons, everything, give you boost modules. It'll equip all this for you and get you set up with a pretty basic but quite powerful basic bunny build that you can use for things, giving all you these little pieces here, and you'll get boost rewards for just activating the boost. If you're a new player, I recommend just hitting activate boost. It will equip regular bunny with all of these things for you to use, which gives you jumped into the game. But if you're an existing player, you want to hit claim components only, which will just give you the rewards without equipping anything. However, currently there's a ton of bugs with this. A lot of people are reporting that it's not working. It doesn't work, like it doesn't equip anything, or it doesn't give them the rewards if they claim. So just to make sure that that you're aware that it's here, but maybe give it a day or two for them to hotfix, because it is having issues. And remember, if you're an existing player that is very end game and very experienced with TFD, I would not recommend activating this booth. It will change your junk filter settings. It will change your Descendant. It'll equip new weapons. It'll change all the modules on it. It's basically a jump start for new players, but if you're not a new player, I would just take the component bonuses, take the reward bonuses, and don't let it mess with whatever setup you have if you have one. Next, the invasions got nerfed. So if you're a new player, I recommend doing your invasions every single day. You just have to go into Albion and queue up for your invasions. You do 4 of them total. Each one of them is done twice, so it's 2 duplicates, 2 pairs of duplicates to be done. And it gives you 5 million gold a day, very fast, good amount of gold, easy to pick up, and I recommend doing them often if that's what you're after. However, they decided that they were too hard for a daily task, so they're going to be nerfing them. So for the Invasion Order of Truth mechanics, the number of storage vessels has been reduced from 4 to 1. All the symbols are displayed on 1 vessel. So like breaking the puzzles and doing that. The drone marks the symbol. The drone that marks the symbols do not move. So the drones don't drift around when you're trying to do like figuring out which drone is the correct symbol set. You only have 1 pillar to look at, and the drone doesn't move at all. That's the correct drone. So you just go to it and do it. Reduce the overload cooldown from 5 to 3 seconds so it can be done easier and faster. The door will open automatically when the drone with the matching symbol is overloaded, which means as soon as it's overloaded, boom, doors open, you're ready to go. The pickup weapon is now available in the commander battles only, not in the common battles. Reduce the pickup weapon hit for canceling commander immunity in 1 hit. Increase the magazine size of the pickup weapon to 99 rounds, so people just use it because they just aren't using it. Shortened some routes in White Knight Gulch, Mystery's End, and Heart of the Fortress invasions, and added a guide video as well. So invasions getting easier, but still giving the same amount of gold is quite nice. Another cool change to be aware of is not only are we getting more weapon XP from some of the other areas as well, but now we're also getting a character XP increase for all 400% operations, which essentially just solidifies them as the best character XP farm. I would do like the field operations for weapon XP, and I would do these missions like 400% for character XP, and then just do Sigma or Axiom if you want a little bit of everything in general. But you can see all of these dungeons that on 400% now have a pretty sizable increase in the amount of XP they provide, making them still very, very good. Additionally, I'm not going to walk through every single one of these, but it's important that you know that a lot of the items that only came from one source have been added to other sources with this patch. So things like the Peacemaker only coming from the kill on Gluttony is now going to be spread out on Void Vessel. Things like Haley drops that only came from Invasions now also come from Sigma Sector. You can get bunny items, which was from early quests in normal mode, now being added to hard mode as an option as well. Freyna codes, Sharen codes, Blair codes, Glay blueprints, Enzo, Thunder Cage, Last Dagger, Fallen Hope. All of these items were either locked behind one specific activity or they were locked behind normal mode only because they were an onboarding process. A lot of those have been added to other sources as well. So just keep track of that and make sure that you know that those are now available. Another cool change is they're making it so all of the hard mode dungeons no longer drop purple reactors anymore. They all drop yellow reactors, so ultimate reactors. This is awesome because once you get to max level, you're not really ever going to be used, like you really shouldn't never be using a purple reactor for any reason past normal mode where you have to. So it makes sense that they would update this. So now a lot of the hard mode dungeons now drop yellow versions of the reactors it was giving as rewards. Another cool change is they make it so that you actually remove your collision when you dodge roll, which is super huge. This happens quite a lot in this game where actually if you're, open the menu for any reason or you stand still, you actually could just be completely surrounded by just random cannon fodder enemies that body block you. But now when you roll, your collisions will be ignored. So if you get body blocked or locked in, you can dodge roll forward or any direction and you'll be able to get out of that, which is kind of cool. Another cool thing that's worth mentioning is they implemented the system that allows you to no longer lose power when you use a catalyst. So you'll probably notice that if you were to go into your Descendant screen here, you can see that my Valby, her level is not orange, it's actually this teal color. And if we go to our Descendants here, you can see that teal versus orange. And the big difference here is that if you've reset that character's level by using at least one catalyst, they will maintain the HP value and stat values that they get from being max level, even though they're now level 1. So if you use it on a character that has been used a catalyst before, they won't get any weaker when you use the catalyst. You'll still need to level them up to 40, but they won't get any weaker, which is pretty cool. Now, we talked about this earlier, and I mentioned I would go into a little bit more detail, and that is the change to the target reward system. I do believe this is a superior system because it makes a lot more sense for people. However, there is a downside that if you're trying to target farm a specific item, it might be a little bit slower than it was before, but the system is a lot more robust. So for in game, when I open up our library here, you can see we have our target rewards listed at the bottom. The way this used to work if you played before this patch is that you couldn't have, you would designate the source as the target reward rather than the reward itself, which had it benefits in that you could set like, hey, anything that comes from this target I want to set as a reward. However, it came with the downside that if a source gave different types of rewards, you could only choose one of them. Right, so for example, if you were trying to farm, the dog and something else like multiple things from Void Vessel or multiple things from Sigma Sector, for example, you could only choose one of those rewards to track and get the target reward bonus from because it was choosing the source. Now, when you're setting target rewards, you can actually set the item that comes from the reward rather than the source. So example, if we go here and we go to the new spoils boxes for this, you can now set the box itself as the target reward rather than the action that you're doing that drops that thing. However, in order to counterbalance this, now you can set, your cache boxes for all the things, right? Some of these come from the same source, right? So like Blueprint and Arcade will come from the same mission. So because they allow you to have multiple target rewards for one source now, which is an improvement, an increase, they tried to counterbalance that by making it so that if you do an action that provides multiple target rewards that drop from it and multiple target rewards are receiving bar progress from that drop when it fails to drop, they will get less value individually. So if you set a target that drops 3 different spoils boxes and you have all 3 spoil boxes set as your target reward, they will all get comparatively less because they're all progressing simultaneously. Hopefully that makes sense. It now means that you can have a full list of target rewards progressing at once, but it does mean that when you have multiple rewards of the same source, the efficacy of the amount that they get from the pity is going to be lesser than it was before. So a bit of a trade-off, but I think it is a better system. Next, you'll notice that there was a sound and engineering pass for just the audio in the game with this patch. You'll notice that a lot of the guns may sound different than they did before. There's some abilities that sound different than they did before, and it seems like they've made some changes to like the occlusion and how the sound plays when it's behind walls and stuff like that. So you will notice just a large number of sound music mixing options that have changed for this patch. So just kind of enjoying those. In general, I think they're good. Some of them seem to break down. So like when I'm using Glay with infinite ammo, I've noticed that the sound just cuts out now because of the new systems. But in general, the sound should be improved, but you might notice some weirdnesses as they're ironing out the new systems that got implemented with these changes. And finally, let's finish off with the cosmetics and things being added into the patch. Keep in mind that all of the hover bikes have their own paint system, and they also have their own paints as well. So you actually will get these as you go along and like try things out, but there's actually a full new set. They actually have some cool like specularity to it as well. So you can try some of these paints, like, this random blue one, whatever. These can be earned, and they have their own treatment as well. So you actually see like different specularity, different materials, different textures being used from some of these paints, which is kind of cool. So depending on which ones you use, you can have those customization options for you as a bike, and they work on all the bikes as well, but they are their own consumables. You'll farm these through various means, either by buying them, finding them in events, or dropping them in Axion Plains. Next up, jumping to the shop, we got some new packages coming in here. We have the Racer Bundle, which is a separate bundle for each of the 2 genders. So you have your racing suit for the men, and then you have your racing suit for the women, and they are different bundles as well. They do include the same emotes. If you wanted to buy both of them, you would get a discount on the second one because it would reduce the cost of these, I'm guessing. But if you really wanted to have like a bundle for this, to have this up, it's got its own vibe, and a lot of people have been messing around with the cosmetics as well. If you're feeling really frisky, though I wouldn't recommend it, there is a hover bike bundle that will grant you the fastest bike in the game by default for 1180 on the caliber. It will also give you a bike skin. This is not one of the bike types, it is a skin, so it actually will replace, I think this works on all the bikes actually. For this one specifically, you can set that one up there, and it gives you a little bit of paint as well if you wanted to try these. Then we have the long-awaited Nier Automata bundle. However, this comes with some pretty major downsides. It does have 2 pairs of 2 variant skins. So it has like the default Nier Automata skin, the Yorha type B, which is your traditional, your traditional 2B lookup for her in Nier Automata. However, there's also a self-destruct form, which is after she self-destructs, which has the skirt missing, and it's got like this kind of unitard bodysuit thing on the bottom with its own hair, right? So you notice the self-destruct hair has a bandage over the eye. The regular one does. The non-self-destruct one, or the self-destruct one, has no bandana over the eye, if that's what you're looking for. So two variants there, your normal and your self-destruct for those with two different hairstyles. And you also have your A2 as well with a normal and then like the destroyed version, which has the little bib coming off and removed as well. And it has the one hair type as well. So you can buy all of these. However, each variant is priced individually. So the full caliber pack is $4,900, even though you're technically getting two skins, each with a variant of it added to the system. So it's quite overpriced in my opinion, but it's probably going to be limited time. And if you really like Nier or you just like the look of it, and it is universal, means you get, multiple skins. It also has the back attachments with the swords, and it's got like the salute. And remember, this is on top of the free stuff that we get from the event. So if you go to the event here for this one, you also get the extra emote and the extra back attachment as part of this event as well. There's also some new skins that got added to the game. There's one for Nell, which is her tactical field officer uniform. So a little bit more, I don't even know, like air pilot or like old school, like adventurer, discoverer, I don't know, like that kind of thing, Indiana Jones. You also have your Inez Hound training suit, so she is becoming the queen of bodysuits, I guess. She just has so many in her skin kit, so this is one option here for Inez. And then you also have the Enzo, call it whatever you want. I'm not going to say anything so I don't get demonetized, but he's got his M. Bison, let's say, Hail M. Bison set up here for the skin here as a bundle as an option as well. Next, they added these new ones. I don't think these are super worth it, to be honest, but it might be interesting if you're a newer player and you just want to get a hold of these. They added these rotational bundles, which will probably end up swapping out later anyways, but just kind of keep in mind that these are here, or maybe a new initiative for them. They have the Ajax, Jayber, and Blair options here. They come with are these old? Is this a skin that's no longer available anymore? It actually might be the case that this is no longer available. This one has a cool effect. Actually, I remember this one for Ajax. You can actually color a little bit of the glow on top of the skin, which is really cool. So if you wanted to pick up Ajax plus his undisclosed project skin plus a Descendant slot, you have these options here. Some of these are actually cheaper a little bit if you own the character already, although I don't own the base Ajax, because why would I if I have an ultimate version? I don't know why they keep trying to force us to hold on to old Descendants we're never going to use, but there is that option there. You can get this skin for Blair plus the thing, and these 3 packs are now available, and the fact that it says rotational means they're probably going to be moving these in and out constant. And confirmed, you can still buy these. These are just purple skins that you get for the character, so realistically, you're just kind of buying the bundle to get a 750 cost skin, plus the character, plus the slot. But I guess if you already have the character, you get a discount on this, which might put it lower than what we're seeing here, right? So if we go back to the store, you'll notice that because I already own Jayber, this is 640, which is lower than this skin would cost. So the cost of the Descendant being reduced means this actually is lower than buying the skin by itself. All right, so you can see that the skin is 750 for the purple skin, but buying this bundle when I already own Jayber means that it is 640. So actually is a way for you to get a cool purple skin plus a Descendant slot for this. I would recommend doing this once you already own the character. It sounds like we're just going to have to keep duplicates of every character because they keep forcing it on us, but that's an option for you. And that major doozy of a video is the Season 3 patch. A ton of new stuff, some pretty big buffs for some characters, 2 new weapons, a new Descendant, new area, new bosses, all kinds of new stuff. So let me know what you think about the Season 3 patch down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.